from Global, British Columbia, the News Hour with Chris Galis.
Good evening. Just 2 days after the body of Robert Dziekanski was laid to rest in his hometown in Poland, new questions are being raised about the behavior of the RCMP in the months since Dziekanski's death. Global News has learned that a team of senior RCMP investigators was sent to Poland to interview several people who knew Dziekanski well. And some of those people were disturbed by the line of questioning, wondering if RCMP are trying to dig up some dirt on the man whose very public death has become a public relations nightmare for police. Our Ted Chernecki reports from Poland tonight.
Gliwice, Poland, population just under 300,000. And this was home for Robert Dziekanski before that fateful flight to Vancouver last October. He lived in a modest neighborhood in an apartment not far from the city square. And within days of that tragic death at Vancouver International, Gliwice, Poland suddenly became of interest to RCMP investigators half a world away. About 3 months ago, April 14th, 2008 to be precise, the RCMP were here at the prosecutor's office in Gliwice, Poland. They were interviewing people close to Robert Dziekanski. And one of them told us today that she was interviewed for about 3 hours and to this day cannot understand why the police were asking the kinds of questions they were. Those close to Dziekanski received notices like these to appear at the public prosecutor's office to be interviewed. But one of Dziekanski's neighbors describes the 3-hour on-camera interview with the RCMP as more of an interrogation. She says everything that had to do with Robert, pretty much his whole life. What kind of person was he? Was he a drinker, drug user? Was he aggressive? Most questions were to expose him as not a nice human being, not to find out what kind of a person he really was. At Dziekanski's funeral service this weekend, some here believe the RCMP trip to Poland was pure damage control.
Even he was a criminal, even he was, I don't know, anyone, a bad man. He wasn't, but even he was a bad man. It's not connected what happened at the airport.
Dziekanski's neighbor and longtime friend says at times the RCMP would keep going back to the same question if, in her view, they thought the answer she gave wasn't the one they wanted.
To, co ja myślę o kanadyjskiej policji, to kanadyjska policja to usłyszała.
I told the Canadian police what my opinion of them was. I told them exactly how I felt after the 3-hour interrogation in front of a camera. I have very negative feelings towards the Canadian police. I'm appalled by everything and the fact the policeman was not able to look me straight in the eye. It's not clear how many RCMP members were here. In her case, she says there were at least 5 or 6 non-Polish speaking people present. Some may have been from the Canadian Embassy. We do know that RCMP Superintendent Wayne Rideout led the team of investigators, but in recent media interviews he would not reveal who the RCMP talked to. It's also believed they succeeded in obtaining Dziekanski's medical records.
Ja po dziś dzień zadaję sobie to pytanie, także
every day I'm asking this question. I guess no one can answer it. I cannot comprehend and understand what and why this has happened.
rozumiem po dziś dzień.
So what were the investigators trying to establish? Why such a seemingly heavy-handed approach? And why go to the considerable expense of sending so many people overseas on such a mission? Our Darlene Heidemann went looking for some answers today.
Walter Kostecki says he has questions of his own about the decision to send a team of RCMP officers to Poland. And he says the public should be asking questions too.
The public ought to know what the police are doing. The police serves the public. And it's time for the police to understand that.
They're more difficult to solve because the people...
Superintendent Wayne Rideout headed the team of investigators who made the trip. He's currently on leave and unable to answer questions. But a few months ago, in a media report, he confirmed that 4 officers and a translator went to Poland for 5 days last April. He also explained that they were looking into the health of the victim, his activities prior to departure, and any of the personal habits Dziekanski may have engaged in. He described their questioning as a routine measure aimed at gathering background as part of a sweeping investigation.
As far as I know, they were asking about his background, about his mental health, about his health, and those types of questions, what kind of person he was.
Federal public safety critic Ujjal Dosanjh also questions the motive behind the trip.
They go there, spend taxpayers' money to undermine the criticism that's being leveled at them. Doesn't make sense to me.
It had nothing to do with whether
Last week, CBC News obtained emails sent shortly after the tasering, expressing support for the officers. They were sent by RCMP Commissioner Bill Elliott and Premier Gordon Campbell. Today, Dziekanski's mother reacted.
They should help me better.
If any information was gathered in Poland, it will likely be heard during Part 2 of the judicial inquiry set for October. Stel Kostecki is cynical. He doesn't think they were able to find any skeletons that would have relevance to what happened at YVR last October.
As to what actually happened at the airport on that particular day, how the police reacted, I don't see that it has much bearing at all. The police ought to be judged on their performance in that 25 to 30 seconds when they first appeared on the site and what they did and how they reacted.
The exact cost of the trip to Poland is unknown, but on top of the emotional cost, the tasering could get even more expensive. Robert's mother, Sophia, is already considering a civil suit.
And one final note on the Robert Dziekanski case. While it's true the RCMP would like a resolution to this case and an end to all of the negative publicity, Dziekanski's funeral on the weekend proves the story isn't going away yet. The nature of his death is still a huge issue in Poland, the funeral receiving hours of live coverage on Polish television.
It's a lead story in Poland, the death of one of their own in the country he dreamed of living in. His mother told Polish television, in the last 3 weeks, 2 people have died from tasers. This week, 1 more. Dziekanski's uncle tells reporters all we have left of him now is a plaque, the video, and some pictures. Polish viewers are told by a family spokesperson no one has been held accountable in Vancouver. This woman says a report found no one at the airport did anything wrong. In no way, she says, did anyone break any rules. Referring to the taser video, this report says, these videos shocked us in Poland. For 10 hours, he was hopelessly lost. Nobody came to help him. Dziekanski's uncle told Polish TV, it's unbelievable. They couldn't find a translator. In this little place that we live in, we would be able to, over the PA system, find somebody to help a person in trouble. Here, Dziekanski's mom tells the story of her son bringing 2 suitcases full of books to Vancouver. He said to his mother, without these books, I would die. In reality, she says, he died with the books.